Well, many words you could use to describe the England win over India, but to keep it as simple as possible, it was clinical. It was what they set out to achieve. And the first half of the innings, their bowlers did the job. Owen Morgan, as captain, did the job with the marshalling of his troops. And then the batsman came out and finished it off with an excellent power play. And then the rest of it was the icing on the cake. Inside 16 overs, knocking off the 125 required, finishing with a big six. And the men who mattered for them, the likes of Jason Roy, wanted runs. He got the runs. Johnny Bairstow, Jos Buttler, and Dawid Malan were all out there in the middle. In the company of Zaheer Khan and a very comfortably seated Michael Vaughan. That's the composure and the position we'd like to see you, Michael. Indian fans wouldn't, but you certainly would.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I don't think you can get a better T20 performance than that England have just produced. It was great with the ball pace, lots of great variations, good in the field, good catches, and then just clinical with the bat in hand. They used the power play. That's what you have to do in T20 cricket. And then it was all pretty much done and dusted there. There's not many times that India get an absolute hammering in any forms of the game in their own backyard. That is a complete hammering. That's a hammering where India really have to look at the way they've played and go and ask themselves why. Selection, Rohit Sharma, he should have played at the start of the series. I don't understand why you're resting such a wonderful player, such a dominant player who's in form at the start of the series. India have taken a leaf out of England in terms of swapping and changing far too much. They did that for the Test series. It doesn't work. Just play your best players. They're there. They're in the bubble. Play them. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, introspection, Zaheer, that's going to be important for Team India. As Michael said, it's not often that at such a clinical thrashing that you get and at the biggest venue in the world.
Well, this has become a trend for Indian team, isn't it? They like to just kind of throw that first game away and then understand what is going to be required in the series and come back all firing all cylinders. So that's something which has been a trend. So we hope that it's just the trend which is going to continue in this series as well. But one thing they will realize from today's match, that it's not going to be an easy one. When you look at that English side in this format, they have the batting depth. They have the bowling arsenal to restrict you. So it's going to be a very tough series and a very important one. Keeping World Cup in mind, I think it's a best practice for them to play under pressure against the best team in the world and then prove themselves. It's always at this level to have these challenges and overcome these challenges. I wouldn't look too much into what kind of playing 11 played, because in Australia this team has proven that it's not about what playing 11 is playing out there on the park. It's about what brand of cricket you want to play, and that is something which was missing today. The batting needed to be spot on. The power play was the deciding factor, and that in when you're playing against the opposition like this, even the small errors matter. So power play was the one where I felt the game was drifted from India. They could not recover from that. But in the series, it's going to be important that the team really plays the brand of cricket which they want to play through and through, right through the World Cup.
I know you've summed it all up beautifully, Zaheer, but I can't lure you into a question about Rohit Sharma, can I?
Well, that's what I answered. I think it's not about what kind of playing 11 or who is playing there out in the park. It's about what kind of brand of cricket you're playing and how you understand the format. How you want to approach this format. So if it means that you have to stay aggressive through and through, doesn't matter whether you're losing wickets or it's about understanding the situation, building partnerships, understanding which bowlers to target, how we can achieve that power score on that particular day, on that particular pitch. Is this something which you have to decide? And to me, it was like a transformation, or not really adjusting that mindset to this format, playing the format rather than the situation. Just going out there with the predetermined mindset of being aggressive, looking to take the bowlers on, but not really understanding that cluster of wicket has fallen. Now it's time to just absorb the pressure and then look to put the pressure back on the bowlers. When the counter attacks comes your way, they look good. When they don't, they look awful. And I think that's something which Indian batting lineup had to learn from and apply in the coming matches.
Fair point. Fair point. I won't point a finger and say you avoided the question. I think it was a very fair counterpoint that you made about, well, yes, we feel that maybe Rohit should have played, but since he didn't play, it didn't mean that you didn't have enough personnel to go out there and do the job. Let's talk about the guys who did play. Let's talk about the two batting heroes on either side, Michael. We'll start with the one who's fresher in the mind, Jason Roy. We briefly touched upon him in Cricbuzz Combox, but he'd be relieved because there are a few names being thrown around, led by an Alex Hales, who are gunning for that spot were he to fail.
Yeah, I mean, England have got such a good squad of white ball cricketers that if you have 2 or 3, 4 games of not getting a score, there's always names that are going to be mentioned and talked about of replacing you in the side because they've got so much depth in white ball cricket. Joe Root can't even get in the T20 squad, let alone the 11 at the minute. So they've got so much depth. What I really enjoyed about Jason Roy, that he stuck to his game and he stuck to the role that he has in the team. I mentioned, about Virat Kohli could do with being a little bit more selfish. And I believe that Virat's the kind of player that he has to bat the long haul. He has to bat the 20 overs he gets in early, just playing back till the 19th, 20th over. He'll get 80 to 100 runs. Jason Roy has to go out being aggressive. Those first 6 overs, he is the kind of player that has had so much success dominating bowlers in those first 6 overs, first 10 overs in 50 over cricket, almost, throwing the fear into the opposing bowling lineup by being aggressive. And he's done that again tonight. He's gone out there and stuck to his game. He's played the lap slog nicely. He's hit down the ground with great power. And he showed why, he's such a good player. He's had a few iffy games. He's had a few low moments in recent time. But going to the Big Bash in Australia, playing for the Perth Scorchers, getting a bit of time out in the middle, scoring a few runs, he's clearly taken that confidence over to India. It was a really good start for the series for Jason Roy.
And Zaheer, one of the questions, if any, that have been asked about Jason Roy are about his ability to tackle quality wrist spin. And he admitted towards the end there that spending a lot of time batting against Adil Rashid and the nets has actually helped his game.
Well, and the left-arm spinner as well. I think he's someone who has been struggling against Ravindra Jadeja when last he played in India, and that is something which looks like he has adapted his game to it. Look, he's a class player. The World Cup form also showed that he's an all-round player, which is very hard to get, and he's got that power as well. So more he plays, I think, and how to pile up those runs, or how to build an innings, or how to absorb the situation pressure, depending on who is bowling, who you can target. I think in this format that really matters. If you understand which bowlers to attack and how to maintain that strike rate. They say cricket is a game of partnerships. Whether you're bowling or you're batting. So at times you have to be wise enough to get the other guy in and let him take those risks when you know that you're not comfortable against any particular bowler, which Jason Roy is looking to understand, and in coming times I'm sure he's and especially in the World Cup for sure he's going to be forced to reckon with.
And on the other side, we had a selection issue. I know we've talked a lot about Rohit Sharma. Should he have played? Shouldn't he have played? Shikhar Dhawan came in and played. He's been rested. But the other selection issue for India that was being talked about was the 2 Bombay boys. And I mean the state, not the franchise. Shreyas Iyer and Surya Kumar Yadav. At the end, Shreyas Iyer won out, got into the team. And certainly, Michael, he showed just why he belonged, because he came in at a time that was not palatable at all. Jason Roy at least had the luxury of knowing not a huge target to chase.
Yeah, I mean, he showed great timing. I think it was when I saw him flick Jofra Archer through mid-wicket for 4 effortlessly. I thought it was quite a good pitch to bat on. When you're playing shots like that, it was an early indication that India would have needed the 160 plus. Teams are targeting him with the short ball. You saw England put a short leg in place against Mark Wood. So he looks to me like he's improved a little bit. I mean, I know it's different conditions. In Australia, the ball bounces a little bit steeper than it does in India, but it looks to me like with the movement that he had tonight. He's worked on playing those short balls. He looked to play it. He glanced a couple away nicely. And I think once you know that the opposing team are going to attack you with that, your job as a player is to go away and work on it to kind of counter-attack that. So if you know the short ball's coming, you've got to improve at the highest level. If you don't get better and better, you will get found out. And, I thought the innings this evening kind of it hasn't put it to bed because, against maybe a pitch that's a bit steeper in bounce, it might still trouble him. But, I saw tonight that there has been a little bit of improvement of him playing the short ball. And his game against spin is up there with the best. He's a wonderful player of the spinning ball.
Yeah, again, the situation he came in, the partnership with Hardik Pandya, it all augured well for India because it's just 1-0 down in the series and you've got to look at these positives and build on them.
The biggest takeaway for me was the same thing. I've been harping on the importance of partnership and Rishabh's and Shreyas's partnership and Hardik's partnership pretty much summed it up. So if you have one more partnership like that, and you have a decent finish to the innings, you could have ended up putting a 150 plus. There is 120 balls in a T20 innings, and that is something which run a ball. Doesn't matter how you go about it. It should be easy to achieve. That's what happened today. 124 of 120 deliveries is how I will look at the innings. And if you had two more partnerships, it would have been 150, 160 plus. So you have to get the bowlers in that pressure zone, where they start committing those errors, when they start feeling those nerves. And the only way to achieve is by holding on to your wickets and, having that good platform. So that's something which was missing, and partnerships, once it started to flow, you could get to a decent total. We knew that it was going to be not enough against the batting lineup they were playing against, but it's a lesson for them to go in the rest of the series. That even though it's a shortest of format, you still have to stick to the basics and work on that. And once you have that platform, then you can really launch. You have the power hitters in your lineup.
Just the flip side of that, Michael, I know as a team that's gone down by a significant margin, you do want to look at the bright spots. But for a team who have won by such a significant margin, do you still stand back and say, okay, are there still areas we could do even better? I know you said it's a near perfect performance.
Oh yeah, that's the modern way, isn't it? For a team or a captain or a coach to come out and say, yeah, but we can still improve. There's not much improvement England can improve upon in the performance that we've just seen. I mean, you really are picking at little things if you think that England can play better than what we've seen tonight. They might have to play better over the course of the next 4 games because I don't think India will play worse. I don't think India can play worse. And I do admit anyone can play better. I think it's just the nature of the beast, cricket, for individuals or teams to come and play an outstanding game. It's just beating the opposition on that given day. And, with the batting hand, when you're chasing such a small total, with the power that England have, it was never going to be enough. But it was more with the ball in the hand that I was really impressed with the tactical side of England's performance, the manoeuvre in the field placement, the catches, everything looked fantastic in the 20 overs in the field. And with the bat in the hand, as I said, it was never going to be enough. So, yeah, England will be delighted. They went 1-0 up in the Test series and made loads of changes. I bet they don't make loads of changes for Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to come to that at some point in the show and say, Michael, let's see, Jofra, Jason Roy, Johnny Bairstow, David Malan. How about resting them? Rotation policy.
Yeah, well, you can try and go for that tactic. I'm not so sure that the T20 team will be resting too many players for Sunday or Tuesday. I think they'll try and get this team playing regular to get used to playing as a team in Indian conditions with the World Cup just around the corner. That's the kind of excuse that they've given for all the rotation of their Test players. It was for this kind of one-day series to make sure that they get 5 opportunities as a T20 team with a World Cup just around the corner in India.
Disappointing. Morgs is such a lovely man. I thought just give him a call. Say that we've come up with this show on suggestions on this show. What do you think about it? And I'm sure he'd have a few nice Irish words to respond to me in the nicest way possible. But Zaheer, just on a serious note, looking down at what Virat Kohli said in the post-match press conference, intent was one phrase that he used. Lack of more clarity is what he wanted. And he also interestingly said intent and clarity of plan. These are the two phrases he used. But I want to bring you in terms of the surface. He said the surface did not allow us to play the kind of shots that we'd like to play. It was not that he was making an excuse, but he did say that they need to come with more intent, maybe looking at that surface as well.
Well, we can ask the expert on surfaces, Michael Vaughan here, and he'll be able to chip in on that. I think the wicket did look two-paced initially. There was extra bit of carry, but I don't see it being a big factor as we see those first 3 wickets which fell. You can technically see what kind of flaws were there. That Rahul playing away from his body. That's how he nicked and dragged it onto the stumps. You saw Shikhar Dhawan playing completely missing the line all over the delivery. So that is something which shows you that the wicket played a little part. I think what was missing was yes, clarity of plan, and then clarity of plan being adaptive to the condition. Being understanding of the fact that what is the power score on the surface. Okay, you might have plan of scoring 180, but often we've seen teams who chase that big number fall short by huge margins, and then that is something which as a batting unit, as you play more and more cricket, you understand that. So you have to really have that communication. So maybe that communication was missing initially. Maybe the understanding or taking that much time in that first 6 over was missing, and that's what Virat was hinting at in terms of intent and clarity. So I think they have enough games here on the same ground, so that this game should be a good learning experience for them to plan the strategy. I think one thing, if Indian team is talking about winning the World Cup, you got to stay proactive. You've seen it in 2019 World Cup as well. One bad game and you're out of the World Cup. So for that you have to be proactive in the game. You have to have plans to adapt yourself and your game or your team strategies in the real time. Maybe look at say 15-20 minutes in this T20 format. To understand what is exactly. Have that flexibility. So that is something which the team management needs to fine tune, find those answers, and move ahead.
Yeah, the word planning, it works in just the opposite application as far as England were concerned, Michael. Owen Morgan had a few plans, be it Adil Rashid opening the bowling, Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, 140 plus, both coming hard. And he said that was part of the plan. They had a clarity of thought. It showed with the execution.
Yeah, England are a fantastic white ball team for many reasons, but they're also very good at planning and working out the opposing players, putting things into their percentages, trying to get things in their favour. So they went with the quicker bowlers, bowling that kind of heavy length, getting the ball going hip high, probably saying to the Indian players, we fancy getting you out playing the cross-batted shots rather than giving you a nice juicy half volley where you can strike it down the ground. And on pitches like we're seeing in the Ahmedabad, where there is a slight bit of uneven bounce, a bit of two-pace nature, if you're just whacking the ball into the surface as a quick bowler, you're never too sure as a batsman whether it'll bounce steeply, whether it'll bounce quite low, whether it'll skid onto you, whether it'll stop in the surface. They bowl lots of cross seamers as well, just to try and grab the seam into the wicket as well. They're a brilliant team. There's nothing more to say about the England white ball team. They're ready. They're ready for every game. You've got to play very, very well to kind of beat them. You have to be on your game as a team. Many, many other formats, particularly in Test match cricket, I always think that England give the opposition a chance. And if they give them a chance, the opposition generally are good enough to beat them in Test match cricket. Sometimes you can give this white ball team a little sniff, but they're still too good for you. They've still got all the power and all the combinations, and you can play really well against this England white ball team, and you can still get beaten. You can still get a hammering because they're that good and they're that experienced. We've still got 4 games to go, and I'm sure it'll get close. It wouldn't surprise me it's a 3-2 series because India will get better. They can't play any worse. But the England team will take some beating because they don't have many bad games. They don't have many games where they don't turn up. So you as a team have to arrive and play very well to beat them.
Fair enough. Let's look ahead to Sunday then, because that is what lies ahead for India. Zaheer, Virat Kohli has mentioned at the post-match press conference or the post-match interview that we only have 5 games, and it's in his mind. It's in his mind that we only have 5 T20 internationals effectively before the World Cup. So we are trying a few things out. If that means benching Rohit Sharma, so be it. Wanting more people to come into the mix, but he's, as he said, it's a couple of games he's rested for, so we can't pull him back for the next game. How do you look at the lineup for Sunday, Zaheer?
Well, it's absolutely fine, according to me, to have that kind of approach. When you say that, okay, you're resting a player and you're going to rest that player, you're going to try out different combinations. The key question which the team management needs to answer is that what kind of skeleton which you're looking at. Are they looking at playing 3 spinners all the time? Like how England, I was impressed with England in their team selection. The playing 11 they chose, they were sticking to their strengths. They didn't think that, okay, Ahmedabad, the test match, the wicket was turning, maybe it's going to be the similar kind of surface, so we need extra spinner and change that plan. Even though there was no Moeen Ali, they still stuck with just having one leg spinner and then creating that variation through Sam Curran. Maybe if the wicket is assisting the spin, we're still going to pack our strength, we're going to have our pacers play. That one question, I think the team management needs to answer it now, since they're saying that there are only 5 games in this World Cup. You need to figure out, whether you need 3 spinners or you're okay to have 2 spinners. That's something, that clarity is required. And once you have that question answered, then rest will take care of itself. Then eventually you will know, whether you want Washington Sundar to bowl with the new ball in the power play, or you want a fast bowler to take up that spot, or Chahal for that matter. So that is something which they need clarity on. Once you answer that question, then I think the rest is going to simplify for them.
So are you answering any questions for us so far? Because we put asterisks next to Natarajan and Tewatia because it's still subject to fitness. But with the players available on the bench, and we leave Rohit out of it for the moment, do you see anyone being replaced? There was a suggestion on various timelines about Surya Kumar getting a nod, maybe ahead of Akshar Patel, but I'll leave it to you to give us your take. Any changes?
Do you want my opinion on it, Gautam?
Yeah, I'll get you both.
I'll keep it simple. I would just play the Mumbai Indians team. They're better than the Indian T20 team.
Come on, Zach, get a reaction.
There are no overseas players allowed, Michael.
You've got to try and get Trent Bolt an Indian passport, Quinton de Kock, because the Mumbai Indians, from what I've seen for 2 years, are a better T20 team when they're all there playing. And they've got a better, you mentioned the word skeleton, you're absolutely right, getting the skeleton of your game right to be able to counter-attack the opposing team. The Mumbai Indians, they're a better team. I know you can't get them all in. You can't play all the overseas players, but I do think that. I think they're a better T20 team, better run. I think they're better led. I think Rohit Sharma's a magnificent T20 captain. I wouldn't expect you to comment on that, Zaheer, by the way. I don't want to put you under too much pressure. I'm allowed to say it because I'm
happy to receive the compliment, Michael. I'm very happy to hear that.
He's just taking the compliment. He's trying to read him in.
Cricket, there you go. I'm getting you a job with India as well. You're going to be the director of cricket of India as well with the T20 format. You know how to win.
We need you also to be coach.
Well, no, I'll be in charge of the
pitches. Michael Vaughan, pitch curator, chief pitch curator for India. There you go. We've sorted everything out. Cricbuzz has just lost 2 of its experts, but never mind. We'll live with that. But Zach, just coming back to you for a moment. Never mind what Michael did say or suggest. Can you possibly see even one change, or do you say that, listen, this is what we went in with for game 1. Let's go in with that for game 2. We need to execute better. Okay, I'll stick to Michael for the moment. Let's go to Team England, Michael. We'll come back to Zaheer and see if we can get something out of him. He's still basking in the glory of what you said about the Mumbai Indians. So we'll get it back. Oh, very conveniently you can hear us now. Oh, that's my. Oh, fair enough.
Is what it's called.
Well done. That's how you used to bat as well.
I think if you look at the stack up, and you look at the way wicket played, they have to think of another fast bowling option. So that is something I think they have to really think hard on. And if they add that option to their bowling lineup, that was the difference in bowling, apart from not having enough runs. But I think that pace was missing. You've seen that all the English players were actually putting spinners under pressure. So if the wicket is playing decent, they are going to play. They are going to put spinners under pressure. So you got to have the options sorted. The wicket is too paced. The nature of the wicket most likely is going to remain the same. So you just have to think of that option, and maybe from that point of view, choose between Akshar and Washington Sundar tactically, which is a better option, and get a seamer in place of that.
Fair enough. Two choices for India. Both Navdeep Saini and Deepak Chahar are there and fit in the lineup. Michael, coming to England, we might have talked all about that rotation policy, but in all seriousness, that's not going to happen. Let's just have a look at the 11 that won. Any other reason why you might need to change anything tactically, or you just stick to this and say, well done, boys?
No, I guess if they arrived on Sunday and played on the same wicket and it looked like it was going to take more spin, Moeen could come in for someone like Sam Curran or Chris Jordan. They've got so many options. I think over the course of the 5 games, everyone will get a game. But, I think at the start, when you go 1-0 up, I'd be amazed if Owen Morgan changed anything. He'll just go, right, roll it out again on Sunday. Unless there's a drastic change in the pitch, they'll go for another spinner. But otherwise, I think they'll just say same again. They won't be making too many changes. They don't need to.
Yeah, I think he'll want to start the next game right now if he could have his way. They've got on a roll. They've put the Test series behind them. And I think there were moments where even India were feeling, okay, we've done so well in the Test. Are we still playing the same team? They look a different outfit to England in white and in red. Let's go to something that does finally make Michael Vaughan frown a little bit, because he's been smiling far too much for all our Indian fan likes. And that is every time Joy Bhattacharya puts out a question. So the only time he'll be beaten outside the off stump will be with one of Joy's questions. Michael's happy to pick up that pillow and say, I'm not in this game.
Yeah, I might miss
there you go. There you go. That's the reaction that we were expecting. Okay, let's remind you of the question from Joy. What were Donald Bradman and Bill Fonsford the first to achieve in 1934, and VVS Lakshman and Gautam Gambhir the first Indians to achieve in 2008? So here you were part of this particular game, which was significant Test match because a certain Anil Kumble dramatically announced his retirement on day 4 of the Test match. But the other thing that happened was that both batsmen got double hundreds in the same match. 2 batsmen scoring double centuries in the same Test. Lakshman and Gambhir achieved it against Australia at the Arun Jaitley Stadium. And of course, Bradman and Ponsford, 300 and a 200, I think it was, in the same match. They were prolific run getters. In terms of prolific question answerers, if there's such a word, let's go and find out if it is our old friend. And I just had a bit of intuition that it might just be. It's one of those questions that the Don Bradman of quiz answers has answered for us. He goes by the name of Rohit Yadav. So that's, as far as that question is concerned, we'll have to up the ante a little bit and keep him away. Just like India will need to keep England away from the juggernaut to keep rolling on. But that's been our assessment as far as today is concerned. Just about time to say a huge thank you to both Zaheer Khan and Michael Vaughan. England going 1-0 up in the series, wearing red, wearing it very proudly. But India have got lots to come back for on Sunday, same time, 6:30 in the evening. It's going to be all the action from the biggest cricket stadium in the world. Can England do it again? Can India make size count in their favor? We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
See you soon.